Blessings, everyone. Blessings to you on this magnificent Sunday evening, December 9th, 2023, sliding right into the end of the year. A wonderful opportunity for us to be talking about radical self-care and tonight about uncluttering our consciousness, because if you're like most people, it's always a little bit cluttered, but will be especially cluttered this time of year. So please, if you're here with me, please say hello. Hi, Heather. How are you? So, as always happy to see your name. Uh, Tonight, so we are on week 6 of a 7-week series on radical self-care to help us navigate the stress of the holiday, but truly, wouldn't it be great to navigate the stress of all of life, not just the holiday season? So, I think radical self care is a very good idea under any circumstances as we evolve into our spiritual selves, as we evolve into happier, healthier, more loving human beings. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Unclutter your consciousness, and actually, unclutter your consciousness and everything else. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. Just thank you for, it's a busy time of year. I know you have many choices of where to be. So I know I appreciate that you have chosen to be here with me. All right, so let me speak a word of blessing upon us to simply just bring us together in consciousness, and to speak a word of opening so that we are receptive. We're open and receptive to whatever it is that we've come here tonight for, recognizing that why I'm here and why you're here may be two different things, and the blessing upon each and every one of us may be unique to us. And so, all right, so just take a breath. Just take a breath with me, just allowing yourself to deeply inhale and deeply exhale for a moment. On every exhale, releasing any stress that's built up in your body today, in your mind, in your emotions, whatever's going on in your world. And just simply invite yourself to tap into that stream of well-being that is within you, that is always available for you to tap into. And as we do that together, we create a field of consciousness over the ethers on Zoom or on StreamYard, just to simply allow ourselves to connect in a consciously connected community kind of way. And so it's from that place of recognizing our divinity, from that place of connecting one to another and to all life everywhere by virtue of the divine not being breakable into tiny pieces. So the fullness of the infinite is right where I am and right where you are. And so it is from that place that I bless our time together, naming it good, calling forward the blessing, and simply allowing ourselves to allow whatever is here for us to bubble up, or to emerge, to bubble up and emerge without any resistance on our part, as we talk about this uncluttering of consciousness. And so we just simply allow this evening to be, and so it is. Amen. Amen. So I love this time of year. I love this time of year primarily because it is kind of a symbolic ending. That uh, we know that in God there is no time. God is eternal, timeless. That there's only now in the spiritual side of things. But for us, our human lives are broken into pieces. We have 24-hour days, we have 12-month years, we have sunsets and sunrises, we have new moons and full moons. So time is an important ritual. So this time of year is an important ritual, or can be an important ritual, because we're ending a year, another year, 2023. I don't know about you, but I was born in 1951, and I'm not sure I ever thought I would see 2023. There have been years where I was surprised to see the end of the year. It was so rough, right? But here we are, the end of 23, moving into the beginning of 2024. And what a great time to explore this idea of uncluttering everything. Um, Now, when we talk about consciousness, we're not talking about your brain, or we're not talking really even about what you think. The word consciousness really has to do with the totality of our sphere of influence. It's like uh, you are a body of consciousness, a bundle of experiences and history and past, present, future, and beliefs. You're a bundle of intelligence. And your body is an expression of that consciousness. Your money is an expression of that consciousness. Your relationships are an expression of your consciousness. Actually, our relationships are even an expression of our collective consciousness, right? That consciousness is all that there is. And that when I talk about uncluttering that, we're talking about seeing if we can unclutter and make some space in our sphere of influence. Now, I don't know how many of you do yoga, or have ever done a yoga class, or done a breath work class. But one of the blessings of a yoga practice, especially the asana practice, is that it creates space in the body. So when you stretch, right, when you hold out your arm, or when you breathe, you are creating space in the muscles, space in between the joints, space in between the joints and the bones. We're creating space. So we want to, creating space in the body is good for the body. It alleviates pain, it releases endorphins, it minimizes depression and anxiety. It has a breath component, so you get all kinds of fresh oxygen into your cells. So we want to create that kind of space everywhere in our lives, because when you create space, you create energy. You create an opening. You allow for newness. And there's no better time than the end of one thing and the beginning of a new thing to actually create some space. So that's really, in terms of radical self-care, it's a wonderful topic for self-care, because most of us are burdened in some way by the clutter in our lives, whether that's mental clutter, emotional clutter, physical clutter, or spiritual clutter. And there is a practice and an art and a science to uncluttering, to creating space and energy in your life. Now, I found a wonderful definition uh, on the internet. It said, this is by a person named Holton, and they say that clutter is anything that doesn't belong in a space, whether because it belongs somewhere else in your home, or it no longer belongs in your home. Now you can, I like this quote very much, and not for what it literally says, but I like it for what it metaphorically says. So your home can be your literal house. Your home can be your car. Your home can be your office. Your home can be your mental state. Your home can be your emotional state. So as we look tonight, as we talk tonight about uncluttering, we're looking to see what's in any of those places that doesn't belong in that place. And maybe it doesn't belong in your life at all. Maybe it's time to move it out. Now, it's easy in some ways. We talk about space, physical space, because that's the easiest. It's the most accessible. Um, your car, the trunk of your closets, your house, your garages. You know, the garages are great. So listen, let's back up for 1 second. Spiritual life, a life, to live a life in which you are connected to your inner space, where you are detached from the trauma drama. So you're moving through life in kind of a calm and peaceful way, um, where you are complete with the past and looking forward to, with enthusiasm, to a future that you expect to be pleasurable for you. Those are all the strivings of living a life of spiritual power, is to be in life happy, free, authentic, self-expressed, and fulfilling a purpose that for you is meaningful and for which you have come. If there is too much stuff in your life that's occupying the space, it's hard to live that way. It's hard to do what I just described. It's hard to be what I just described being, because too much stuff. Now, you all know what I'm talking about. How many toasters do we really need? I know that's kind of a funny example, but I remember my brother-in-law, one of my former brother-in-laws, he loved garage sales. I mean, he used to drive my sister crazy because he loved secondhand shopping, and he would go out on Saturday morning to garage sales, and he would find this really great, Black& Decker toaster for $1, and he would bring it home, to which my sister would say, "Darling, we have 7 toasters. Do we really need an 8th toaster?" So for some of us, in fact, for most of us, throwing things away, giving things away, releasing things is really hard. It's not a natural state. So consequently, we have closets full of things we've never used, full of things we'll never use again, full of clothes we'll never wear because we'll never be a size 6 again. Our garages are full of Christmas decorations we haven't pulled down for years. Now, all of that stuff is, by the way, it is just stuff, right? This is just stuff. But all of this stuff uh, impinges impinges on our energy. It impinges on the field in which we have to move around. So this time of year is a great time to take inventory and to begin to look and see what's physically around you that no longer belongs there. And maybe it doesn't belong there because you no longer care about it. Maybe it doesn't belong there because it's it's broken. Maybe it doesn't belong there because who knows, for whatever reason. But I do promise you that whatever you have in your closets, whatever you have in your garage that you don't care about, somebody will care about it. Some human being somewhere wants what you no longer find useful in your life that would be incredibly useful in their life. So this kind of is a reflection of the law of circulation. Like there needs to be an inlet and an outlet. So on a physical level, it's kind of easy to see that if your closet is packed full of clothes that you never wear, you've got no room for more clothes, new clothes. You've got no room for something new. So, what I do every year, and I do this every year, I'm not just blowing smoke up your skirt. I really do this. I kind of look at what's hanging out in my house and I just check in. I check in. Is this still something I care about? Is this something I want to look at every day? Is it something I'll need to use every day? And if it's not, I truly do. I give it away. I throw it away. I give it to somebody I care about. I donate it to Goodwill or to St. Matthew's, um, because it's not necessary to keep things that have no value to you. For those of you who know me, in 2022, in the spring of 2022, I actually sold my house in North Fort Myers, turnkey, which means I sold it with everything in it. And I cannot tell you what a transformational experience it was to really release almost everything. I would say 90% of everything, all the linens I collected during the year, all the bath towels, all the silverware and the dishes and the pots and pans. I just left them. And then when I came back, I left for 6 months, came back, and I now rent. I now have a new home, and I've had to go out and buy things again. But the things that I've bought are things that I've needed. So I really do understand what it means to kind of thin out. Um, so I encourage you to do that. Maybe more importantly is this quote by Marie Kondo, who says, "We should be choosing what we keep, not what we get rid of." So it's a whole different orientation, yes, that says what is of value to me in my life? What do I love? What is necessary for my care? What brings me happiness? And by the way, this isn't just a lamp we're talking about. This is the topic tonight is unclutter your consciousness. Now, your house, your home, and all of the things you have purchased and acquired over the years are a part of the totality of your consciousness. Part of the impediment to our spiritual growth is the past. It is, one of the ideas I just loved in my own spiritual education the last 25 years was the work by um, Edwin Gaines, who talked about the spiritual malpractice of using a credit card to purchase something and then paying on that credit card for a long period of time. Now, stay with me on this. She said, and her teaching is that debt is about unforgiveness. Debt is about the past. So when you think about it, if you buy something and you pay on it for 5 years, that's like the antithesis of living in the now, because you're then paying interest on your past for something you've purchased for 5 years that's probably sitting in your garage. We want to mitigate how much of our energy and our life is centered around that dynamic of things from the past that don't belong in the present moment. This has to do not only with stuff, but also with ideas and beliefs and points of view and perspectives. It's like you'll know that your consciousness is cluttered. How can you know if your consciousness is cluttered? You won't have space for new ideas and thoughts. You won't have space to breathe. You won't have space to contemplate. You will be so consumed by all of the things that no longer belong in your space. and maybe not even in your memory. Maybe it's time to move them out. What about the relationship? What about the relationship that ended 27 and a half years ago that's still hanging around like stuff in your consciousness? What about that person? What about what you did? What about what's still hanging around like guilt or regret or remorse that you did maybe years and years and years ago that has no place for a spiritual seeker, no place for a spiritual aspirant? Why? Because uh, to want to live a more spiritually balanced life, connected to nature, connected to yourself, requires a certain kind of focus and a certain kind of orientation, a certain kind of expectation of the flow of good into your life. Something about the expectation that whatever happens next, you're going to like it. If you and a certain kind of trust, deep trust and deep faith that whatever it is that you need in the future, you will have it when you need it. It will be provided to you. You do not need to keep 6 sets of dishes just in case every relative you've ever had comes for dinner, right? That the idea is to create space and to create energy. So, so that's the higher why. The higher why for listening to this conversation, considering it is because to unclutter your home, your mind, your emotions, your closets, your cars, is to create space and to create an empty emotional closet so that something new can come in. To create a mentally peaceful state within yourself, so that you have time to think about what's important and what's not important. This other quote by by I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name, Babauta. Anyway, he says simplicity boils down to two things: identify the essential and eliminate the rest. So that's kind of what the point would be here. Now, a couple of as I said, the physical ones are easy. Really, go make it your commitment. We're gonna in on New Year's Eve, we're going to get together and we're going to create a context for 2024. Each one of us, we're going to create a big idea that will be a container large enough to hold our dreams, our visions, our hopes and desires for 2024. But between now and then, you have 2 weeks to unclutter something. You have 2 weeks to make space and create energy around you, whether that's cleaning your car, uh, cleaning your refrigerator. It's a very good one. Emptying out your closet, making a few trips to Goodwill. You can unclutter your consciousness by eliminating negativity, um, turning off the news. That's another way of creating space and energy. Anything that is the source of negativity or anxiety in your life, change it. Either fix it or get rid of it. Um, I would say that the awakening process almost always involves thinking a new thought. Ernest Holmes said, change your thinking, change your life. The Buddha said, change your thinking, change your life. Jesus said, change your thinking, change your life. They all said it in a different way, but they're all pointing to this idea that if you're if you're full of righteousness, if you're full of deeply held beliefs that you believe are true, if you've got no space, if you have no space for something new, there will be nothing new. Life will be a rerun. Same old, same old, same old. Now, this thing with clutter, of course, is a matter of degree. I've known people who are true hoarders and their homes are as full of so much stuff that they can't even move in their own home. They can't walk. They don't know where things are. Um, Moving would be an outrageous idea, because what would you do with everything sitting in the house, right? So that's kind of an extreme. But for many of us, it's not extreme, but it does require some consciousness. So what are some other things you can do? Um, so do first and foremost, do not clutter. Do not tolerate too much clutter or mess. It's okay if you're if you're in the middle of a project and you have stuff. I mean, you ought to see my house on a Sunday morning, on Sunday mornings that I'm speaking. I mean, there is jewelry everywhere and clothes everywhere and makeup everywhere, and it just sits there until I have time to come back and put it all back in order. So situational clutter is fine, but we're not really talking about that. We're talking about having things in your life, or ideas in your life, or attitudes in your life, or memories in your life that are a hindrance to your future, a hindrance to your feeling spaciousness. You want to feel free to experience whatever happens with fresh eyes and a fresh point of view. So, another way of uncluttering, you're going to like this one, I think, is to adopt the idea of not chasing anything. Don't chase anyone. Don't chase anything. Now, how does that show up? How does that hinder us in our growth? Well, it hinders us because we spend time and energy chasing the good old days, our youth, the relationship that didn't work. Uh, people move on and we anguish over why they left, why they had to leave, where did they go, what did we do wrong. Some of the best advice I ever got, and I got this from a minister in Raleigh, North Carolina, when I asked him his advice on being the spiritual leader of my own church. I said, "What's the one thing you would say to me?" And he said, "Don't chase people." But I think it means don't chase anything. Don't chase your looks, don't chase your youth, don't chase the job that didn't work out, don't chase a relationship that didn't work out. Um, your life might be cluttered with too many commitments. So can you unclutter it's pretty normal. It's a pretty normal thing that we do in our culture, which is to fill our time up with commitments and activities. So we spend a whole lot of time doing and not a whole lot of time being. To live a life of spiritual power requires being. It requires that you have the time, the energy, the space, the spaciousness to reflect, to call your attention in life to what is meaningful and sacred. And you cannot do that if your life is full of you go from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So uncluttering your life could mean uncluttering your calendar. So we have uncluttering your physical space, probably the easiest. I think that's the easiest, even though it may feel hard for some of us in the moment, but listen, uncluttering your space doesn't mean getting rid of the things you love, right? Because there are things you love. When you look around your home, I have this candle and I really kind of like this candle. I'm not going to get rid of it because I like it. But there are other things that I have that I don't like and don't love, that's taking up space, that somebody else would love and find value in. So closets, cars, uh, your house in general, your refrigerator, your cupboards. I do this thing every few months. I refuse to grocery shop until I eat all the food I've already purchased in my house. Is anybody else like, am I the only one where every time I go to the store, I buy pasta and pasta sauce, and maybe I buy some soup, and then next time I'm at the store, I buy some more soup. It's like, Denise, you don't get to buy anything else until you look through your kitchen and eat the food you've already purchased so that it creates some space for a new idea about food. Yes? So physical stuff is easy. Mental stuff, you want to unclutter your mental environment, which means maybe less time on the internet, less time watching the news, less time worried about the world's doing, especially if you're more worried about the world than you are about what you're doing. So the world is going to take care of itself. It always has, it always will, without our opinions and without our anxiety or stress about it. And there's a lot to be stressed at. If you listen to the news, listen, stress is the name of the game. I mean, really, consumerism and materialism would love it if you just binge ate your life away. Like your anxiety caused you to eat too much, to drink too much, to watch too much TV, to spend too much time in the casino, to too much time on the internet. All of that, unclutter your consciousness, create space so that you have the energy to do that which is yours to do. Are you with me? Yes. Now, during the holiday season, this can uh, this can translate into boundaries because it's a time of family. It's an emotional time for most. It's an emotional time for most people because uh, it's a time where we remember the people we've lost. It's a time where we remember Christmases gone by. It's the time where we allow ourselves to, um, you know, to cry in our beer a little bit. It's a time. It's stressful. We're shopping. We're cooking. We're eating. So it's a really great time to create boundaries and to only do that which is yours to do, which makes you happy, which brings meaning to your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you don't have to go to every office party. You don't have to buy gifts for people you don't want to buy gifts for. It's okay. You want to be yourself, loving and authentic. So unclutter your schedule, unclutter your list of things to do, unclutter your house. Um, yeah, and make space because we want to spend some time at the end of the year visioning for 2024. Because remember, we are a new thought community. A new thought community means two things, really, two very specific things. One is that our theology says that God is both transcendent and immanent, that God is not just out there, God is right where you are. You are an expression of the divine. You are divine. You are connected to the infinite. That's number one. So God is right here. And that our minds are powerful, that we create through the power of attention, intention, the laws of attraction, the laws of reciprocity, the laws of sowing and reaping, and that all of that creation and connection requires spaciousness inside of your being. It requires that you be more than you do. And all of those things and all of that beingness leads to peace, and it leads to happiness. It leads to fulfillment. It leads to joy. It leads to feeling comfortable in your own skin. Never more important than at Christmas time, but always important. So unclutter everything. All right. So next week is our final week. And I'm not quite sure how I will bring it to a close, but I promise you that I will bring it to a close. And so next week will be December 17th. We will not meet on Christmas Eve. We will not. But so Christmas Eve will go dark. New Year's Eve, I'm going to do creating a context for 2024 with you at 6 o'clock for 45 minutes. So hopefully you'll join me there. Uh, I want to, so I'm going to do, I promised you I would do this week. I'm going to do a 6-week, let me get this for you, Control C. I'm going to do a 12-week, actually, a 12-week, here's the banner. So next, December 31st is my last working day at Unity of Naples. And then I have 6 weeks before I leave for South Africa for 2 months. So I'm going to teach this class, Walking Your Divinity. It's going to be a 6-week in-person Zoom class. So we're going to be able to talk, see each other's faces, do some homework, do some group work from January 4th through February 8th, Thursdays at 6 p.m. And then for everyone in that class, we'll continue while I'm in South Africa. We'll do another 6-week support group as you begin actually walking your divinity and dealing with everything that comes up when you begin to do that. The cost for those 12 weeks is $200, and it will all be on Zoom. And you can register for that on my website. I'm giving you the link here. So this will be, I'm probably anticipating 10 to 12 people, and it's going to be very geared towards who is in the class. Like when you go to register, there is 2 questions, and your questions will inform me how to direct the powerful 6 weeks. And this is really about, I want to spend whatever time I have left kicking spiritual butt. And by that, I mean that I just want us all to really step into the power of what it means, our spiritual practice. Like, what does it mean to live a spiritually powerful life? And what does it mean to give up the drama? What does it mean to give up the anxiety? What does it mean to give up the depression? What does it mean to be able to manifest your deepest desires? What does it mean to change professions? What does it mean to have satisfying, wonderful relationships? What does it mean to get paid what you're worth? These are questions about our divinity and actually being on earth, expressing our unique gifts and talents. So I hope you will join me. I'm very, very excited, especially streaming from South Africa. So 12 weeks to a brand new you. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will be happy to answer them for you. If you I'm kind of moving into a time of self-employment, so I plan on teaching more classes and doing more work online. It's hard to kind of do that in any meaningful way. But if you want to support the ministry, please do it through PayPal, Zelle, or Venmo to revdschubert@gmail.com. And if you want a spiritual life coach, if you want someone to talk to as you're navigating, because listen, it takes a minute. I mean, this is not like, it's not like, in fact, even Jesus would tell you, it's not like Jesus was born a master spiritual teacher. For 27 years, he was just a person, and then he got real powerful for 3 years. So it takes time to it takes time to let go of the past and to embrace the future. So I'm here to support you in every way possible. So you can email me at revdschubert@gmail.com as well with any questions you ever have, or if you just want to have a creative conversation. Yes? Yes. All right. So the message this week, Eastern Standard Time, Shannon, it'll be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday nights for 6 weeks. And then what I'll do once I'm in South Africa, which I'm there from February 11th to March 11th, we as a group in the class will choose the time and the date that works best for everybody. So hopefully still on Thursdays, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Yeah. All right. So if you're in Naples, Florida, please drop by the Unity of Naples Church. The 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we're having a Christmas extravaganza. We have 30,000 lights. We have Santa's workshop. We have Santa. We have music. We have meditation. It's going to be such a beautiful experience. And otherwise, I will be back with you next week for our final session on radical self-care. All right, so let's just take a breath and let's just take a breath, and I'm going to close us out with affirmative prayer. Affirmative prayer is it's like a affirmation on steroids, where we are. It's an opportunity for us to align ourselves with the good of God, to align ourselves with happiness, to align ourselves with peace. We are so indoctrinated to thinking that we'll have peace when the world changes. But the truth is, we have peace when we change. We'll have love when we change. We'll have money when we change. When our consciousness changes, life changes. Consciousness precedes forms, forms flow from consciousness. It is truly, people, just the way it works. So the sooner we know that and the sooner we figure that out, the sooner life works the way that we want it to work. And so take a breath with me as we turn within for a final moment, connecting to the divine within us, connecting to the power and the presence of God, connecting to the power and the presence of the Christ presence, which is not somewhere out there, not in a special person. It's in everyone. It is the very seed of divinity at the very center of our being. It is at the center of every single living thing, breathing thing, organic thing, inorganic thing. There is no spot where God is not. And so I know it is through that connection of unconditional love, perfect order and harmony, calm and peace, that I speak my word for and about each person within the sound of my voice, absolutely claiming this time of year as a time of cleansing, a time of restoration, a time of reparation. It's a time to pay attention to the details. It's a time to open our hearts and our minds to a new way of thinking, a new way of believing, a new way of acting, a new way of allowing the emergence of the divine within us to guide us, to maintain us, to guard us, and to carry us through life as it has been intended, which is joy and peace and happiness. So I repudiate the idea of suffering or of lessons we must learn, that we are simply to align our consciousness with the consciousness of the all good. And so it is that. It is for that I am grateful. It is for that which I am thankful, that we come together once a week, minimally once a week, to remind each other who we really are. You are not some puny, selfish clod trying to eke out a living on a planet that's uninhabitable and frustrating. We are in paradise. And I can't remember, I think it was Mark Twain who said it's only through our own thinking that prevents us from experiencing where we are as paradise. And so I'm grateful. Simply just release this word, accepting its fulfillment on my behalf and on your behalf, knowing that it is already done in the mind and the heart of God. So we let it be. We let it be together by saying, and so it is. Amen. Amen. All right. So peace and blessings, beauties. I will talk to you during the week, or I will see you next Sunday on Sunday Night Live at 6 p.m. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Sign up for the class.